Welcome to Fave This, a new show about fandom, internet culture, and the unusual things people do in video games. This is your host, Patricia Hernandez, and I am joined by...
I'm Gita Jackson. I'm also a host of this show.
Gita.
Yes.
I want to talk about friendship today.
Fantastic. I'm so ready.
So, when I was younger, I used to play Gears of War all the time. Really, I just used to play on Xbox Live all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd be in lobbies with strangers. And by the end of whatever match, whatever game I was playing, they'd just end up on my friends list. We would, just become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always just, people from all sorts of walks of life. You know, people my age, people older than me, some people who were younger than me. Little kids, basically,
Yeah.
who were just on Xbox Live for some reason, even though they shouldn't have been playing such a bloody game, whatever.
Yeah.
So we'd start up party chats and just kind of start talking about life, whatever. We became close friends. I would keep talking to these people over the years. Not so much anymore, but, we were close friends during that period of my life. So the other day I was playing Salmon Run in Splatoon 2, which is Horde mode for that game. And I'm at a high enough pay grade now that the waves of monsters are almost just overwhelming, and it's very easy to just die,
Mm-hmm.
almost immediately when rounds begin. So it's very rare to find people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I had this one round where everything was just beautiful. The people that I was playing with came together and they just knew what to do, and it was just this very coordinated. I don't even know how to describe it. I saw God during that round of Salmon Run, and I was
so looking into the sun. It was so beautiful.
So I just never experienced that in that mode. And so afterwards I was like, it's so rare to find people like this. I should probably friend these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought about friending them, even though I couldn't say anything to them, because you know how you can only say booyah or
yeah, booyah
go over here.
or ouch or go here, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought about friending them, but I felt creepy.
Really?
I don't know what it was, or I was just hesitant. I was so self-aware about being a random person bugging these strangers to become my friend, even though we never actually said anything to each other. And I ended up doing it anyway, and 2 out of the 3 accepted it, but it was just kind of this weird vulnerable thing where I was just so worried that, what if I'm this 27-year-old who's, trying to befriend this 8-year-old, and they're just what is this, or whatever.
Mom?
Yeah. Can I accept this friend request, Mom? I don't know who this is.
Yeah, because when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play games online, partially because my dad's in IT, so he got, the internet a lot sooner than a lot of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
and he instilled in me a fear of it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, of the internet?
Yeah, because he was like, this is fun and exciting and cool, but you are going to be going out into the wild, wild west here, and there's no regulations, and people in general will take advantage of you, and they'll be mean. I'm really glad he did this,
Mm-hmm.
because it means that up until I think I was sort of an adult with a professional life, I wanted, a brand that I wanted to boost, I, never used my real name online, and I never told people how old I was. That
Mm-hmm.
was a good job, past Gita. But that
See,
also,
my mom was the opposite.
Really?
She was just you're going to get kidnapped if you talk to people online. And of course, the first thing that I did was still going into those sex chat rooms
Of
and just being
course.
hey guys, I'm 18 or whatever.
I just it really instilled this fear into me. So I never played games online until until after I graduated from college. Afterwards, it was more well, it's better for me to meet up with see what games my Tumblr and Twitter friends are playing, and then join them in very private games and
Mhm.
not make friends with randos. I mean, of course, I'm making friends with randos because I'm making Tumblr and Twitter friends, but
Mhm.
it just felt a little bit safer.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. So for me, it's just I was remarking on this, that over the years, this phenomenon of me just befriending strangers on the internet, not just even in games, on the internet, period, has kind of stopped. Twitter used to be that for me, and now I'm it doesn't happen as much anymore. It can happen, but not really. So I feel a lot of things have changed since those days in which I would befriend people easily, and some of it is good, some of it is bad. I feel like I just have more of a sense of paranoia now.
Yeah.
Like
We've
may-
both seen some shit.
I've gotten people friending me on Facebook just so that they can screen cap things and then like post outraged posts or whatever, like look at what this person said or whatever. I've gotten people pretending to be other people just to try to get close to me, and it's
That
just
is
like,
so crazy.
and it's wild. It's like really hard to know who to trust sometimes. And I know this sounds really tinfoil hat, but I was reading this thing the other day about how the average number of close friends that the average American has gone down over the years. So I do kind of think that there's this sense of alienation now. Do you feel that at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did, like, I made friends with a bunch of games writers when I started writing about games, back in 2012, 2013 or so. And that was just by being a pest in people's mentions, basically. I think that's how I met our friend Nico. That's how I met Austin Walker. That's how eventually I ended up meeting Patrick Klepek. And like some of the Giant Bomb people, just by being really aggressive about wanting people to be people's friends and trying to engage them in conversations all the time. I don't do that ever now. I rarely respond. I don't respond to people's tweets because I don't want things I say to be taken out of context. I don't want to have complex conversations over Twitter, which is a very bad platform to have this kind of conversations on.
Yeah, I feel like I used to use Twitter for everything, and now I'm very sparse. Like, it has to be something just kind of playful and, like, not really about anything. Like, look at this cool thing that I did in a game, or look at what I'm reading now.
Honestly,
like
most
that.
of the time it's to share my writing or my coworker's writing or a friend of mine who's writing something. Like, that's like the three things is like promoting myself, promoting the website I work for, or promoting my friends. And otherwise, I really try to stay off it because things go out of control on Twitter very quickly, and it's very difficult to say exactly what you mean to say in 140 characters. I do think that generally more people, while they do, like, people who aren't as visible as us, I think definitely still use Twitter to make friends and get to know people. Yeah, I've made a new friend. I mean, I know that she is friends with someone I know in real life. I met her through someone I know from college, and then we started following each other on Twitter, and we sort of got to know each other more over Twitter. But it was like I had that my friend vouching for this woman. So that's the only reason why I feel like I'm able to chat with her on Twitter at all. I do think definitely the internet makes it harder to make friends at the end of the day.
Weirdly, even though it facilitates communication.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the media landscape is kind of different now. I feel like I'm always being yelled at about like the quote unquote the other side and like, can you believe this group said this? Can you believe this faction is doing that? It's like a genre of reporting now, like taking quotes, ridiculous quotes from people and just being like, can you believe this shit? And it's just like constantly seeing that sort of thing. Like, I was talking to Cecilia about this, and I just used to have so much more tolerance for talking to even like the awful assholes on Xbox Live, like no matter what they were saying. I don't think that was necessarily like a good thing for me to do or like a good use of time, but I just noted that it was very different. Like, if someone was awful to me, I was still likely to talk to them. And I don't know why. Maybe it was just because I wanted more friends. Maybe it was because I was lonely. I have no idea. But anyway, and I get that nobody should feel obligated to spend their free time in an unpleasant way. Like, it can be very tiring and damaging to your mental health, especially if like the other person's difference crosses over more into like, I don't believe you should exist. Like, like sometimes that's the difference. It's not just like you like ketchup and I love mayo or whatever.
Although that has been contentious in the Kotaku offices for the past week or so. I've almost come to blows over mayo. I'm serious. Mayo's gross. Don't at me.
So, like, I get it. Sometimes, like, these differences and how people can't come together is totally valid. Like, I love my mom, but I don't always have the bandwidth to deal with some of the shit that she says because she's not really educated in mental health. And if I don't have the mental bandwidth to do that with her, someone that I'm, like, close with, I'm not going to have that bandwidth to do it with a stranger, you know? Like, it's just not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But I also think some of these differences are technological. Like, with Xbox Live, that was the first time that I had digital friends list in a video game, so it was kind of like this cool new thing. I wanted to add people to it. I wanted to like log in and see those names on there. And I'm curious, so you said that you weren't as open making friends on games. So do you feel like in the early days of the internet, like if you were on MySpace or the early days of Facebook, do you feel like you friended people more easily, or was that also not a
Oh
thing?
yeah, I totally was like I didn't. Facebook was always a little bit more personal to me because I felt like I got early access to it because I had the email address of the college my dad works for, so I could get into it while it was still only for college students, which made me feel incredibly mature. So I really closely guarded the fact that I was still in high school on Facebook, which meant not friending people who are also in high school. On MySpace, though, I was really out there, and I friended a lot of people. I really wanted to make new friends, and I was very deeply invested in, like, the top 8 culture.
Of course.
Yeah, I was like, I remember changing my MySpace name just to my normal name when I was getting kind of into, like, scene culture and changed my MySpace name to Gita Von Grimm, and then someone called me that in real life, and I was like, oh, no, this is stupid. Like, no one should call me that. And I was really using it as a self-promoting tool to make myself look cool and also build relationships, not just with people I knew IRL, but with sort of scene famous people. Like, if I could
What
have
a
met...
concept now. Although it hasn't gone away.
That's
I feel
true.
like scene stuff is still there, and especially for teens.
Fall Out Boy is still one of the most famous bands and, like, a very incredibly successful. And I love Fall Out Boy. I am not going to deny that, like, from under the
They're
cork
also
tree.
from Chicago.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they're hometown boys. Actually, I think Patrick's wife actually told me that she hung out with Patrick Stump in college, in high school or something. I don't know. That might not be true, but I'm sorry if I put your wife on blast, Patrick. But yeah, it's I was like, and especially because I came to MySpace from, like, LiveJournal culture, which is all about very in an anonymous way. You would definitely not share your real name at all. But the culture of LiveJournal when I was a part of Fandom was all about big name fans and promoting yourself so that you can become friends with big name fans and endlessly producing content so that people would like that content so that you could become a big name fan. That was kind of the end goal for being in fandom for me, certainly, even though I was like 13, 14. But for a lot of people, I would say, sure.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gone away. Like, now the big thing I feel like is YouTube, and it's not uncommon to have, people in the comments for this big YouTuber also have their own channels.
Yeah.
Even if they're not like, check out my channel, like, it's very likely that you could click on their name and they would have some videos on there. And you have kids now, like, they pretend to be YouTubers when they're young. They're, like, talking to a pretend audience, or, like, I think I've heard that it's not uncommon for kids to be like, I want YouTube to be my career or whatever. And
I've heard that
you
too.
met some teens at VidCon, right?
I was about to say, the most interesting thing about VidCon was hanging out with the teenagers. And one of the first things they would all say to me was, I'm starting my own channel, and I just met so many people that I'm going to collab with here. And one of the young, a non-binary trans person I met, they were like, I met a ton of my favorite LGBT YouTubers, and some of them we're going to do collabs. Like, I'm going to interview them on my channel. And I was, like, super psyched for them. But it was also, like, this is a very business-like way to look at interpersonal relationships. What you were talking about reminded me of, have you ever seen Jeff Gerstmann from Giant Bomb talk about the old days of, like, Uno online for Xbox?
No, but I heard it was wild.
Yeah. I mean, there's this really great article on Vice about gay men cruising on Uno, which is amazing.
What the fuck?
I know. Like, that was apparently, you could totally reliably cruise on this, like, Uno
I wonder
app.
what, like, years later we're going to find out some, like, innocuous thing that we all use is actually being used for some sex thing.
I'm sure there's some weird connection.
Like Swapnote.
Yeah,
right,
I'm sure
used to be that
Swapnote
thing.
right now, yeah.
No, when it was around, because
right.
now it's not around anymore. I
The
feel
end
like
of Swapnote was so sad.
Yeah.
I miss it. But I also understand that they could not keep the porn off of it. Like, the new Uno game came out for the Xbox One, and he said, I watched the quick look they did, and he was like, this isn't as good because everyone kind of knows now that this is, like, a weird, fun thing, and everyone's trying to make it weird.
Wait a minute, I wonder, if the developers have changed the design of the game at all to try to stop people from doing whatever it is that they did before.
Yeah. I mean, I think the general consensus was in the Xbox 360 version, mostly it was just that people didn't realize, like, how fun it would be to just play Uno when you had a face cam on.
Oh.
And so it wasn't like people were going out of their way to make it weird.
Oh, so it wasn't like a special there wasn't like a special feature in there. It was literally just the face cam.
Just
and
like
then
a face
people
cam would be on there.
would do
Yeah, and if you were
shit.
cruising, you would put the camera on your crotch. But
Okay.
if you weren't cruising, you would just like play fucking Uno.
Right.
And like it seemed like the thing you were talking about with Gears of War, where you just have a really good game of Uno and then make friends with all those people.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're seeing someone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and like that's part of the fun with Uno is also like bluffing and fucking with people a little bit. So it makes
now
sense.
I kind of want to go play Uno. I haven't played that in like
The game
at
is
least
kind
a
of,
decade.
I think it's kind of a good game.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a little bit unfair, a little bit broken, but it is really nice when you make someone draw forever. When you trap someone between two people with like, switch direction.
Right.
I loved doing that. I love that shit.
So I asked a bunch of people on Twitter, and they all had some interesting replies as to whether or not they still friended random strangers in online games. And I think it really depends on the platform. Like some games facilitate it more than others. I think a lot of the people who said they still do it, a lot of them play Destiny and a lot of them play GTA Online. But I think overall most games have just moved away from letting you talk to other people that you play with. Like the option might be turned off by default, or like you might just have a preset number of things that you can say, like good game or whatever, and it's like you can't say it. You can just press the button to communicate that to the other people. And I think also just developers don't want to make it easy for people to just harass each other on games. So like the change is good, but I don't know. I feel like a weird sense of loss there. All right, Gita, now it's your turn.
All right.
What do you want to talk about?
So this is an extremely Gita Jackson pick of topic, but I do a lot of lurking in fandoms, which makes me feel like a huge creep because I don't want to put any particular fandom on blast, but I'm always curious about what people are talking about.
Totally.
And I noticed late last week, Jacksepticeye and Markiplier did a collab, and like they are good friends in real life, and they almost never collab. Part of that seems to be because they know their fan base ships them together pretty heavily. There's a lot.
Well, I think they live in different places, right? Or
Yeah.
does Jack live in LA now? Or I thought he was
I think
somewhere
he's still
in the UK. Yeah.
Mark lives in Los Angeles, and I think Jack is still in the UK. I
Mhm.
don't his like video release schedule leads me to believe that he is not in the United States.
Right.
But they are buddies though, and like of course they both travel to go to the same events, and usually when, according to the people I talked to at VidCon, when people are in the same place, they'll end up doing collabs. It really, if you have a similar number of followers, or the disparity isn't too large, it can really help each other's channels grow. And for Jacksepticeye and Markiplier, their fan bases are so huge, like it's only a good thing when they collab.
Mm-hmm.
But it can lead to some like weird shit. Like people they really ship Jack and Mark, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of God, what is the name of their ship? I forget. It was one of those
Marksepticeye?
Probably Marksepticeye or something like that. It's
Jackiplier?
It's Septiplier.
No, that's a bad
is.
name.
It is. It's Septiplier. I don't like it. Marksepticeye is like much better and makes more sense. I really resent the way that so I know exactly the technological reason why we've moved from doing name/name for ships instead of and started doing portmanteaus. It's because Tumblr tags do not support slashes. You cannot put a slash in a Tumblr tag. So the reason why we started calling slash is because of the slash between the two characters' names. And that is a tag that is supported by LiveJournal. So that carried on throughout the entirety of like the LiveJournal age, back from when it used to be from Star Trek zines, for Kirk and Spock, it'd be Kirk/Spock, and they started calling it slash. In LiveJournal, you could tag all your posts using the tag with a slash in it. When we all moved to Tumblr after the Russian government low-key bought out LiveJournal to keep Russian journalists from blogging about Russian politics, which is a real thing that happened. That is real. We moved to Tumblr because of that, and you cannot put a slash in Tumblr tags. So now, in order to find fiction for the ship that you like, you have to make a portmanteau. And this is something that we used to do, but I always thought it was corny, and the slash thing was always like more popular. In Harry Potter, the most corny thing we ever did in fandom, for the Harry Potter fandom, we made actual ship names as if they were ships, like naval battle ships, and fucking they were all stupid and bad. Like we called Harry Ginny was the HMS Pumpkin Pie because it was
Whoa.
just so sweet.
But
Fuck
I
that.
feel like that's at least creative.
True. It is creative.
I remember when Doomfist was new, you kind of had this thing of like, what are the ship names going to be? Like, how are we going to append Fist to all these other
Fistgabe was my favorite.
Fistgabe, okay.
Fistgabe, because it's just to the point. That's what we're here for.
That's what you want.
I just want to know. I want us all to be honest. We're here. Like, the reason why you're horny for Doomfist is that he's got a large fist.
So going back to the YouTubers for a second, so the fans ship them together, which is weird because these people have actual relationships, not to mention they're people. But also, do you not feel like they encourage that? Like they're always kind of joking about how they're involved with each other, how they're going to marry each other, or whatever.
The collab that Mark and Jack did is definitely flirty. It's like they're both in the personas. They both have like weird, evil alter egos. I really don't get that, but it's something that the fandom really likes. So they did a collab where Darkiplier and Antisepticeye antagonized each other, and there was a little bit of like the Hannibal Lecter, like the how horny the Hannibal the TV show is. But, so it was a little bit of that, a little bit of the evil, sexy banter thing. And they released a behind-the-scenes video as well, where they both kind of acknowledge, like, yeah, this is, like, a little bit gay. And they play into it. And this is something that, emo bands in the mid to late 2000s also all did this. They would, like, make out with each other on stage and play
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I mean, the example that I think of, the famous one used to be One Direction, right? Like, the fans would make gifs of all the band members just kind of like touching each other, and like
they would ruffle each other's hair and like grope each other's
or like
chests.
just touch each other's butts or whatever, and you knew that it didn't necessarily mean anything, but the fangirls would go wild for that sort of thing.
Yeah, they love it. I mean, it's so easy when you are a young person who knows that they have sexual desires but feels a little bit weird about placing yourself in your sexual fantasies. If you know that you're attracted to men, it can become very easy to just be like, okay, what if the two men I'm attracted to engaged in sexual activity? So I can not be so vulnerable that I need to imagine myself as a pursuer or as a pursued person. Definitely, like when I was younger, it was so much easier for me to be like, I don't have a crush on this guy. I just want to see them make out with another guy. Like it's my own sexuality was like very distant from that kind of thing. Like that's part of like why young people especially sort of get into Slash. Like the other thing is like kind of figuring out that you're not straight. It's like the other reason. But
I feel like also whatever entity is involved in that sort of thing tends to benefit from it. Like there's a reason why, in idol groups, they have clauses in their contracts that are like, you can't have a significant other, you can't date, and it's because they want to peddle that fantasy of like any of the viewers could be your next big love or whatever. Like they have to be open and available to their viewership.
Mark and Jack are flirting with each other, then it makes their girlfriends less real. If you watch a video of them touching or doing some weird fan surfacey thing, then you can rationalize to yourself like, oh, the relationship they're in clearly doesn't matter to them that much. It doesn't feel as real.
Well, you were saying that one of the blow-ups in that fandom was that people were giving the actual Markiplier girlfriend shit, or what was it?
I only saw vague remnants of this. I didn't go digging too far. But Mark did a charity live stream recently, and Jack was on it. He guested on it. They were playing Dream Daddy, actually. So,
of course.
Yeah, of course. Everyone is playing Dream Daddy. It's a great game. And I was looking through Tumblr, just through the Septiplier tag, and I saw someone say, don't give Amy shit. Like, and Amy is the name of Mark's girlfriend. Like, it was really, like, they were saying that during the live stream, Amy, Mark's girlfriend, got a lot of shit, and they were disappointed in the fandom. And this is something I've seen in a lot of fandoms that ship real people, is that once they actually start having a real relationship and they publicize that, people get very possessive and angry. I know that there
And
is
it can
still
go both ways,
Yeah.
right? Like, it can be like, no, I don't want you to be with this person. I don't think they're
Mhm.
good enough. Or it can be like hardcore shipping, like you were the best
Yeah.
pair ever. And then if they ever break up, like that can turn ugly,
Yeah,
right?
I know there's still people who would consider themselves fans of Gerard Way's last girlfriend before he married his current wife,
Hmm.
who was like a scene queen girl.
And it happens beyond this too, right? Like people are still always talking about like Jennifer Aniston with Brad Pitt, and they're like, that's
Yes.
been like ages and ages ago.
I
you know,
remember, I
like-
think it was Jezebel actually. They did a year, a collage of like a year of Us Weeklies or something, and just was like, they said that she was pregnant with Brad Pitt's baby like 27 times.
Wait, in like
In a
recent
single year.
years?
It was like from right after they broke up.
Oh, okay.
So it was from a while ago, but you'll still see people like the whole thing with Jennifer Aniston is every time she's on a tabloid, they will insinuate that she's either an old maid now
Mhm.
or still not over Brad Pitt. And she seems to be doing just fine. You know, she's dating Justin Theroux, who is like kind of really hot.
Oh shit! Yeah, he's hot.
He's like really, really sexy. She's gonna be okay.
No, but then on this week's tabloid, it's like Jennifer Aniston's secret hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Still thinks about Brad.
Exactly. You know, it's something that everybody does. It just because we people in fandom have a little bit more access to the people they are fans of. It becomes a lot more personal, and it gets really scary. There was like Supernatural fandom. So many people ship the two brothers in that show, and that of course turned into real person like slash for the two actors in that show. And like in the worst moments of it, there were moments where they had to answer questions about real person fiction at conventions, and that was that's like,
that
not
can be
appropriate.
kind of awkward.
Yeah,
How do they treat it? Because I imagine that comes up a whole lot. Like, do they just kind of play it off, or?
I know for Supernatural, they were just not into it and didn't want to answer the questions. I know for other fandoms, they do play into it a little bit more. I know John Barrowman from Doctor Who is always a little bit like promiscuous and like cheeky about being romantic or sexual with his coworkers, and he sort of plays it up and enjoys that persona. But it's obviously just not for everybody. I don't think everyone in the public eye should have to deal with real person slash, that kind of thing. Well, John Barrowman's a lot like how PewDiePie is. And PewDiePie is constantly talking about like MPreg fic with him and Jack or whatever.
Yeah, I was watching a PewDiePie video the other day that had a Photoshop of him marrying Jack, I think.
Oh my God. Yeah, he thinks it's really, really funny. And he seems a lot less bothered by a lot of things. Although, obviously, very easily set off by a lot of other things. But the whole real person fiction thing for him, he thinks it's hilarious. But and he does have a long-term girlfriend as well. And I'm sure
and I think that fandom is very supportive of that. Like, they're always talking, like, where's Marcia? And when Marcia makes videos, they're like, oh, did Felix help you record this? Or, like, where's Felix? Or whatever.
I remember he did a video where he just showed off his closet, and Marcia was like kind of in the background, like shouting things off camera, and it was really sweet and cute. And all of the fans are very supportive, very happy to hear from Marcia.
But it can also lead to like these weird dynamics. Like, what if you build a YouTube channel where the entire shtick is that you're in a relationship with someone and then you break up with them? Like, that was the whole what was it, boyfriend versus girlfriend
Yeah, the
thing?
whole prank war boyfriend and girlfriend thing. And they broke up with each other. That is always like the fear. I've dated someone who I was like very publicly in a relationship with on Twitter. And our breakup was less awkward for me than it was for him, because he definitely did want us to be like a weird internet power couple thing.
That's so weird now that brand building can be a part of relationships now.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard of people who like don't want to tell other people that they've broken up because they like the internet believes that it's like such a good pairing that it would be awkward for the internet to know. And it's not really exactly like a sense of shame that they don't no longer have a girlfriend or boyfriend. It's just literally my brand,
Or just like, I don't want to have to deal with publicly mourning a relationship for the sake of my fans. Like, I would rather be able to just move on from the end of a relationship and just move on from it rather than making it part of who my online persona is.
I heard of this like one wild case on Twitch where a Twitch channel was started by a married couple, and then they divorced.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
like one of the things that they had to fight over in court or whatever was the Twitch channel, and like the channel ended up going to the guy who wasn't even as present on the broadcasts, I think, and it was just like this
Wow.
entire thing because the fandom was now tuning in to this channel, and they're like, who is like they knew who it, like I think he like had put in a different person to do the show or whatever, and so fandoms were like, who is this, like what is this, and they couldn't talk about it. I think it was like it was just like this legal thing that they couldn't talk about, and it's just so weird to think that all these things can be a part of relationships now.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting how much the ways in which we connect to each other has changed how we connect to each other. And I don't want to ever get pessimistic about it because the internet's really improved my life in a lot of ways. There's no way I would be working at Kotaku here now if it wasn't for Twitter. Like, I know that for a fact. I wouldn't have met you or Danielle if it wasn't for Twitter. But at the same time, I have to deal with a whole bunch of new questions about interpersonal relationships, like, how public do I want to be about my partner online now that I have a quote-unquote audience? Or should I friend people that I play games with, even if I really like playing games with them? And I think we're going to be okay. Honestly, because, I mean, the big thing for us is, like, we are, I think, the same age. We're both 27. And we both have grown up with the internet, although we remember a time without it.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna be the last generation, I think.
Yeah,
that can
but the
say
people that are younger than us, they kind of get these social things that we don't get, and that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, no, I feel like I want to go ask my little sister how she deals with breaking up now in the internet age and what that's like.
When you hear back from her, please let me know.
Report back.
Yes, hell yeah. So that was today's show. You have been listening to the inaugural episode of Fave This, or the Favecast. I think that is a really cute nickname for a very good name for a podcast. I am Gita Jackson, and I am joined by
Patricia Hernandez.
And you can find both of our work on Kotaku.com. And if you want to send us reader mail, you should email Patricia at patricia.hernandez@kotaku.com.
Oh, no, it's patricia@kotaku.com.
Just Patricia. See, they got my
Fancy.
last name in there, so.
Yeah, and next time around we'll have a reader segment if you guys send in stuff.
So please send us some of your questions or comments or interesting and cool things that you've seen online and in fandom. So thanks for listening.